This is Richard Widmer with the Unbroken Movement. I am, oh my God, so super excited about this guest right next to me because she is the one and only first to pop onto the movement to be able to talk about her journey. She's also coming from the first annual OCB Unbroken Natural, which I also promoted a few weeks back. But what a powerful, confident, strong woman that I got on next to me to tell her story. Just really a quick note that this Unbroken movement, this channel, this is a way to give others a platform to be able to inspire or be inspired, just to tell a story. Average people just telling one story at a time to be able to understand, relate, and see that there is a way to be able to get through, whether to overcome or just to cope with, but to remain unbroken. But right next to me, Jodi Scott, welcome and thank you very much for coming on the channel.
It's great to be here. Appreciate it. And I
Uh,
appreciate the movement that you began. When I first was looking for a natural competition to do, because I started out with doing my first show with NPC, and that was like to get my feet wet. I didn't really know any
mhm.
better. I was just brand new to that type of bodybuilding. I was like, I want something that I could um because I was a natural competitor. I'm not on anything. um
Mhm.
I was looking for something that I can compete and have a fair competition, and I was looking for OCB because I'd heard about it after doing NPC, and I stumbled across the word unbroken, and it just light bulbs just went.
Radiated.
It did.
I
So
love it.
I do this one.
I love it, man. I mean, that is what it's all about. And I got to tell you, I'm just a provider of, well, I mean, the symbol tattooed on me, and it means so much, but yet it means so much for me, but it represents you and every single person in this universe for, as far as I could say. And the reason why is it's the mere fact that you stay inspired, you will never quit and you'll overcome. But enough on that. You have an unbelievable story, and just to share about the bodybuilding show and everybody, so they understand what Jodi's saying regarding the Unbroken. I put a category out, the Unbroken Hero. It was a transformation highlight category, and the award was the Unbroken Hero, and it was unjudged. And I really wanted to give the opportunity to any individual that utilizes health and fitness to be able to uh, shine under the lights when they overcame whatever they were struggling with, whatever it may be. From weight is the obvious one. That's a whole huge transformation, or whether it be mental or severe physical, or potentially financially, emotionally, that kind of thing. So that is what Jodi's talking about, that unbroken. And she had entered that. And I've got some exciting surprises as soon as we wrap this up, for sure, to see how she was in the show. But I asked the competitors to send me in kind of a brief history on what their hurdles was, and each one of them was a tearjerker for me. I mean, I had initially thought that I should read them as they come out, but without me having a handkerchief or something, I thought it was best just to be able to allow every individual to read it. But this is no different. That instead of read, I'm going to let Jodi share. So, Jodi, start from the beginning where you feel your journey in life was not so easy, and take us up to the point right before the inspiration of change. But share what you will.
Okay. Well, when growing up, I was extremely shy, like my mom described me as painfully shy. She put me in dance when I was 4 years old, and I just wanted to hide in the corner and not do anything. If you looked at me, if you looked at me wrong, I would go cry. I didn't want to be any center of attention whatsoever. Um, and of course, when you get older, you kind of come out a little bit of that. But I got into gymnastics when I was young and competed up until about I was 14, and then I had an injury, and that kind of shut things down for me as far as gymnastics wise goes. So, um, and then later on, I got into Taekwondo. I actually have two black belts in Taekwondo, and so the learning the discipline and the dedication behind to stick something out, to push through when things get hard, that was kind of uh, instilled in me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Good.
when I became a teenager, a few years after I had quit gymnastics, my older brother passed away from a car accident. I was 14, he was 17. So that just basically shut my parents down from anything like those prime
I can
years.
imagine. Good Lord,
Uh,
man.
yeah, so getting into starting high school, my parents were just absent, mentally, emotionally, all of that. Didn't get involved in anything I had to, I did, and so I just that was a challenge. And still being shy, never had a boyfriend, all any of that. I decided once I graduated high school, I was going to leave home and
Yeah.
just travel. My brother had a settlement from the like a wrongful death settlement, and that was able to give me the ability to travel and just go to school a little bit after graduating high school. So I was able to
Right.
travel a bit, see the world, and plus my dad retired from Delta Airlines, so we could just hop on a plane. That was nice.
Okay.
um,
All right.
but and coming out of that shell, that I was still underneath, I was still that really, really shy girl that just didn't want any attention, but yet at the same time craved it. um and I get married at about 26 pretty fast because I'd never dated, never had a boyfriend. I thought, oh,
Yeah.
he's the one,
Shotgun, right? Yeah. You receive the attention. Unfortunately, you
yeah,
receive the attention one time and embraced.
exactly. And that
Yeah.
nail on the head on that. I didn't know. I was very naive about everything, and didn't wait it out, didn't see what he was like, and basically, I don't want to say suffered, but to a degree, yeah. It was a
Yeah.
long haul, and I wanted to stick it out because I was stubborn. Um, but being a mentally and emotionally abused, a little
Yeah.
got a little physical a couple of times, but having a Taekwondo background, I was able
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
pull
Take
myself out.
care of yourself.
Yeah.
How long were you married? How long did that last, Jodi?
Um, 2001 to about the final divorce came in 2020. So like 19 years
19
of
years. Long time.
trying to stick it out, hoping things would get better, and it get better a little bit, and then it would get worse. So it was very roller coaster. And so all of the insecurities I had from a young age, it was just compounded and exasperated from this my husband. He would just the name calling. Yeah, I don't want to go into that because that other people would be, you know, I don't want to trigger anything with that, but it
Did
was
you
just,
have did you had a child
yes.
during course?
So
How many?
she's 13 now. Well, when she was a surprise, so I won't say that
Okay.
she was a surprise. What she was not
Right.
planned, she was not expected. Um, and even though neither of us had a great job that paid a lot of money, and in fact, I was employed, we moved back. We were living in Washington State at the time, and my daughter was born there. And but I'm from Georgia, and my ex is from El Paso, Texas. So to we moved in with my parents just because I was laid off.
Mm,
We had to think, oh well, I'll find a job in Atlanta, big enough city. That didn't happen. That was like a time when there was a bit of
mm,
a recession, and for 3 years I was looking, and so I ended up working for the same company that my husband still works at to this day. My ex-husband still
mm,
works at to this day, and it's Starbucks. So I got a job at
mm,
Starbucks. Um, and I'm thinking this. Oh my, yeah. I'm thinking there is
mm,
no way I'm going to stay this long in this company. And he's been with the company for a long time and has not really moved forward as far as
mm.
his job position. So there was a bit of a immaturity, liminality, if you think about it, just not trying to be better and providing for his family. He was stuck. And I'm thinking, I cannot be stuck like this. And I saw that picture of myself. I was at my brother's house in the swimming pool. My daughter's probably about a year and a half, maybe two. I'm bad with dates. And I saw that picture, and coming from a sports background with being a gymnast, having a black belt in Taekwondo, doing a bit of track and even dance training. I saw that and I thought, no, 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 this is not happening. Not going to get any bigger pant size. So I
Right.
started working
Right.
out. I started training myself. I started researching and learning about like the more recent studies regarding what's the best approach to fitness. And I started writing my own programming. I started writing my own workouts, and and really not changing too much with my diet, but the weight started coming off and I was feeling a little bit more comfortable. But granted, we were still living with my parents. There's the
Hmm.
abuse still going on. He had went head to head with my father at one point. Um, but at the same time, in the background, that was something that I could control, that I could be focused on, just to get that weight off of me. And when people started seeing results, or seeing what was happening with me, my transformation journey starting at that point, and they were asking me, well, what are you doing? How can I do this? And how can I lose weight? What are you eating? What are you working out with? So I kept giving people advice, and I thought, why don't I do this as a living? I mean, it's a passion of
Right.
mine.
Right. Right.
I got certified as a personal trainer and did through a home study course, and just kind of took it from there. I got a job out of a gym and started, I was still working on myself, and looking back, I thought, oh, I kind of look good. And I mean, even then, at the moment, I look at now what I have, I thought, man, but when what's the saying that something, you look back and you think, oh, I look horrible, but that could be an inspiration for somebody else who needs to get
Right.
to that too.
Right.
So don't
Right. Right.
um, judge or discount what stage of journey you're in. You might be an inspiration regardless of what you think you look like or you feel
Yeah.
like. So
I mean, that is absolutely well said. I want to just take a step back. So we got to the journey, and I know you described that picture of you in the pool. You mentioned seeing with your daughter, but what honestly, to relate for others, the inspiration that really was it, you expressed, I don't want to get a bigger pant size. Was it just looking at yourself and seeing yourself in reality or so? Described really what made the light go off to say, it's time for change. What do you think it really was?
it was just actually to see how big I was. And it wasn't like I was super big,
Hmm.
but having the sports background, having, a slim and athletic body beforehand, kind
Hmm.
of like set a standard that I needed to get back to. And, but I can say now, even just kind of to interject, I am stronger now than I was even then. Sure, I'm not doing backflips, thankfully, or back
Right.
handspring.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Right.
but I am technically stronger than I was even then, proportionately, and then just age wise. Um, but having that standard, and I'm thinking I need to get back to it. There is that just underneath, and it wasn't vanity. Had
Hmm.
nothing to do with vanity at that time. It's just more of being confident in my own skin. It was just
Right.
not. Um,
Was the divorce final at this point when
no,
you were still married at this point
I was,
looking at yourself?
yeah, very much so. Still married. So yeah, 2010. I mean, I still had. That was when my daughter was born. So at that time of the photo, it
Hmm.
was probably 2011, 2000, somewhere between 2011 2012. Again, I'm bad with dates.
Hmm.
Uh, and we didn't get divorced until 2020. So it was years of just putting up with all of that, hoping that
Hmm.
things would get better, always holding out for the things that would get better. And never seeing that step being taken to improve anything, putting
Hmm.
it off, holding back, waiting for something to happen, waiting for magic to fall from the sky. I always say fitness is not something that you could just wait to drop into your lap. You got to work for it.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
you can't wish for it. You got to work for it. So even when I became a personal trainer and was seeing the results personally of my body changing, getting stronger, getting more, I don't say I hate the word toned, but getting more, building the muscle and losing the fat,
Hmm.
and being more confident. And, I got a job with Orange Theory. So I was on the
Hmm.
mic, you know, coaching a class. And that
Right.
period, that was about, I was 6 years as an Orange Theory coach. In that time period, I guess I came out a little bit more out of my shell. Somebody had told me, said, Jodi, treat this as your stage. You can actually pretend
Right.
you're somebody else. This is your stage. You
Right.
can, and I did some drama in high school as well.
Hmm.
And I loved it. I got to be somebody else, somebody that I kind of
Right.
wish I was.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
just step forward and say, hey, I'm on the mic, and encouraging others what encourages me. So using my own personal story that they didn't know about, but using
Right.
that to inspire them and to say, hey, again, you can't wish for it. It's not going to drop in your lap. You got to work
Right.
for it.
Right.
And it
Right. Right
sucks.
on.
It
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Right on.
But you got to think of the end result. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to
Right.
be?
So now, when did you draw the line, turn on the light, get inspired to say, enough is enough and I deserve better type of thing, along with who I see in the mirror?
Mm. I was, I got to a point, I think, right. We had finally moved out and got an apartment. And then later we got a house in 2018, thinking that the house would be kind of like the magic thing to help us stick together and things would be better because we got our own
Right.
place. Well,
Right.
putting in probably the worst thing to do is, being in a bad relationship and getting a mortgage.
Right. 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 Right.
Money. I wasn't making a whole lot either. And he ended up spending a lot of money on coffee, beers, cigarettes, just whatever. He just spent, and I actually made a little bit more money than he did. And he would spend it all. So there was a financial strain about it throughout our whole marriage. It was like
Mm.
that. And having my daughter there, just saying, okay, well, even though he's spending a lot of the money financially, it's nice to have two incomes. I will say that much. And being that, having a daughter, well, we got to stick it out. We're in this for the long haul. And it was just
Right.
miserable. Anxiety level for myself was just through the roof. Every time I would come home after coaching, I just stayed in the car if he was there, I would stay in the car. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to go inside the house because I didn't know what kind of mood he was in. He was
Right.
very OCD. I want to say bipolar, but very similar. I don't think he was never diagnosed because he didn't want to go get help.
Right.
Um, so the anxiety was there, the stress was there, and I'm sure the cortisol was all there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but at one point, I got to, I just thought, well, here I am, in my physical journey, my fitness journey. I thought, is this all there is? I got to a certain, I guess, body fat percentage. I got to a
Hmm.
certain weight. And I thought, okay, well, I'm 40, whatever, 45. Was that time? Maybe, no, sorry. Yeah, probably 45, 44, 45. And I thought, is this all there is? Is this how
Mm.
I'm going to be? And I thought, let me just try something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I cut out sugar. I cut back on a lot of the excess carbs I was eating. I started to increase my protein. And just with that little tweak in my diet, because I never really did
Hmm.
anything with my diet beforehand,
Right.
man, I mean, I started shedding a lot of fat that way. And people were like, oh my gosh, Jodi, you look ripped.
Right.
Of course, back then I was like, oh yeah. And then now I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. That was nothing.
Right.
Um, and then the divorce came. I finally went through that light bulb moment. I think I was reading a couple of things and reading because I was just so frustrated. And we wouldn't even, because I couldn't just come home, and I didn't want to walk on eggshells anymore. Just couldn't. Um, And coming from a faith standpoint too, I was like, well, we were always taught divorce is a sin. It's, you can't divorce. It's not, you don't stick it out. But then
Mm,
I was reading some people saying it's better to be separate and have peace than be together and have strife. And, you know, to to think
validity.
of the
Amen.
my daughter being in that situation where she's growing up with that constant strife, the constant anxiety, the constant stress and the anger and the things that were coming out. And I'm thinking, oh my, that was when I was thinking of her, it's better for her to live in a single parent household with peace than it is to live in a dual parent household or two parent household with that. And that was what to me,
Product of your surroundings.
yes.
Huge. Yeah,
And
product of your huge.
yeah.
Huge.
And that was when I just said, okay, I'm gonna draw the line in the sand, put my foot down. And I think
Good for you.
I got papers drawn up online. I did
Mm,
like everything,
right, right. Yeah, yeah,
the courthouse and submitted them.
yeah. Yeah,
um,
good for you. Good for
yeah.
you. You an amazing, listen, all I could say is I commend you for your strength, courage, and perseverance because you endured, you trooper, you endured it for a long time. And if I can give a positive note on it, is you were a late bloomer. The everything was reversed. It's unfortunate. Listen, we can't assign our parents. We can't assign our family. We inherit to what we have, and you can only do the best you could possibly do, and you can only control you. If you don't have that, for a lack of better words, the Brady Bunch, old school, mom and dad, everything is fantastic. Dinner on the table, no cursing, swearing, which the likelihood in today's world, it's so difficult. It becomes a battle, right? It's really battles you have. But because you had, and similar to myself on relating, because you had that athletic background and you did have the taste of athletics, you naturally, you didn't discuss it, but you truly did, is, you did get the ingrained attitude and variables that are need to be an athlete on discipline, being able to, goal setting and what it would feel like to win or lose or be better, improve yourself, those types of things indirectly develop within you. And as you progressed, and I always share this with my children, as you matured, in essence, to the level of maturity on where you started realizing, looking at the picture, hell man, enough is enough, and you did something about it, and you surrounded yourself with, the product on who you are now, Orange Theory, coming out of your shell, getting on the mic, being better and better and better, and the better version of yourself. And you continually did that. So I'm honored to see the final finished product. And I know, let me back that up. It's not a finished product, it's greatness in the making, right? Because you're still a product, but outstanding, Jodi. I'm blessed to absolutely talk to you about it, but I do want your comment on a couple things because I think it's worthy to note. Let me just let's bring something up really quick. What's this all about? Let me see this here. So if we look at this, who absolutely is that person? I
I don't.
mean, that person right there this is what I saw. So those of you that are watching this is the photo before picture that she sent in with the story, which is, inspirational. So it's like, okay, you know what? Well, you're in pretty decent shape per se, but not to your liking. But then all of a sudden, we have, let me just change and share to this. That is a whole nother world, right? As we see. all I have to say is, what a crazy road. This is something to truly be inspired by. So to have the journey you had and to now share that journey to inspire others and know that regardless of being shy, living with tragedy, being, you know, making decisions, maybe not the best choices early on from relationships, there definitely a gift came out. I'm absolutely, positive to say that comment, not knowing your beautiful child, but I'm sure that is absolutely a God's gift. But then to be able to shine under the lights, so I commend you for that, for sure. I mean, that is amazing.
Um,
So it's absolutely amazing.
the emotional confidence of stepping up on stage was another part of that. Not just, getting to a muscularity, even before
Hmm.
cutting down, all of those things, but people were saying, you need to step up on stage, you need to compete. And I thought, I, if somebody were to tell me, years past, hey, you're going to be stepping up on stage in a bikini, in 5-inch heels, in a spray tan, showing off your muscles, I would have laughed in your face. And but once they started saying that, that kind of put a thought into my mind of like, what if? What if I could? And to show that I'm not held back by those old childish emotions that I had growing up of being shy, of what if I were to show, and didn't do this for anybody but myself, because I wanted
Amen
to
to that.
prove to myself that I could do it, but to also, and then the byproduct, I would say, of the confidence just launched me. Unreal. When I first competed last year, um, I fell in love with it. I couldn't believe that I was doing it, and the emotional healing. I would say, I don't.
Mm,
It's people don't realize it. People think, oh, it's just for vanity, but there's more than just a physical transformation. At least in my case, there's the
of
emotional,
course.
the mental transformation of
Of
going from
course.
person to this person on stage.
Hmm.
And so, apart from the physical transformation, that I didn't lose a whole lot of weight compared to others, that mental and emotional is there as well. And it's you can't, you have to, I mean, I don't want to say you can't ignore it. And you can't set it aside and think, well, this is not really something I can achieve. Because you can. And coming through and being unbroken. And there's a verse and a passage in Romans 8 that says that we are more than conquerors. And that's been kind of like a theme. So all the things all the hardships, all the walls, the battles you've been going through, don't let them take control. Don't let them win. Don't
Absolutely.
let them win.
Absolutely. That is well, that is that well, I could say, if I was going to ask you any final note, but that is a final note. Just constantly be who you are. Don't let your failures define you, but yet overcome, learn.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And I thank you for that. All right, so Jody, that was absolutely unbelievable story. I mean, again, brave, confident, uh, unbroken, man. I'm honored. I got it's inspirational for me when I listen to individuals just describing the never ever quit attitude and just how they keep overcoming every obstacle. That is just the true meaning of the platform. So thank you for that. Any final notes that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Well, I just wanted to end with this statement. My name is Jodi Scott, and I am unbroken.